I did sleigh rides at T Lazy 7.
So Tony, what about T Lazy 7? Tell me about that.
Well, it was, as I said before, I think a whole nother experience. I was working in a gravel pit and driving a big loader, and after work I'd go ride a horse up on buttermilk and back in that country, and I had this idea in the back of my head. I said, wow, I should start a stable where people can ride. Saw an ad in the paper, said, looking for whatever, somebody to manage the stables. Box 240, Aspen. I said, oh, that's a low number. Must be somebody I know. So I sent him a letter, and I said, well, I'd be interested. So Buck Dean met me at the Red Onion, of course, you know, everybody's main office. And he said, okay, well, here's the deal. And I said, okay. So I went to work out there managing the stables. Riding stables. Had no idea how that worked, but you know, how hard can it be? You saddle a horse and you put a person on there. Had no idea. It's brutal work.
I bet. And then, so it became more of a tourist thing then, when people get on there and go on a horseback ride, and you'd lead them, or how did it work then?
God, no. We'd turn them loose.
See, that would be, that's not right these days. You can't just turn people loose.
No, you wouldn't dare, but I mean, let's think. I mean, right there to T Lazy 7,
right
out my window where I live, Pyramid Peak. I mean, that's priceless. And, you know, get up at daylight, saddle your wrangle horse, go in. We had 80, 90 head of horses out there. I mean, that was a beautiful part of the day, rounding them up.
Right.
Then you get them in, and then we'd have a breakfast ride. So, God, it'd be balls to the wall. Get those horses saddled, because here are the people waiting. And then those rides were guided. Okay. We'd have to have a guide. And a beautiful trail up through the woods, about an hour and a half ride. And then breakfast down there, chuck wagon grounds, which I don't know what they're like today, but back then it was just really Western and user-friendly. And, you know, I met my first wife there. She came looking for a job. She'd actually worked there the summer before, so she knew how it worked. And I thought, God, I better hire her. She knows what's going on. And then, of course, we eventually got married. But, oh, yeah. I mean, one morning I'm out there rounding up the horses, and there's a truck parked in the pasture on the road, and there's a couple making love in a sleeping bag. And being a nice guy, I stopped. I'm like, you might want to get that done, because I'm going to be coming back with a herd of horses. Oh, yeah. Well, the horses came back. Those people were petrified. Their eyes were like that. Horses jumping over the sleeping bag. And anyway, and I just rode by. I said, well, I told you.
Wow.
Just, you know.
I bet if they're still together, they probably talk about that day.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. God, yeah.
That's memorable.
Oh, yeah. And we kept horses out there. You know, they'd go up the backside of Buttermilk, and that is so steep that just riding out of there behind a herd of horses running down that hill, it was scary, even for a kid in his 20s. And but still beautiful, just so beautiful. I can't imagine. Up there.
So was T Lazy 7? Was that the only thing that was the horses? Did they have cabins then? How was it?
Yeah, oh yeah, it was full scale. Whatever. It wasn't a dude ranch so much. It was just people loved it there. There were so many return customers.
And for horseback riding.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the main recreation there. It wasn't. They didn't have ATVs and all that then.
No. Well, Rick Dean had the snowmobiles in the winter.
Oh, snowmobiles. Okay.
Yeah, he did that, which they ran in the pasture above the stables, and then they had the trip to Maroon Lake, which was popular. They did that. In the winter, I did sleigh rides because they had those steak nights at the main lodge. So I had a couple of teams of horses, and we'd take people around.
So when did that end, and what came after that?
Well, they still do that, I guess. But for me, it ended in, I don't know, 78, I think.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's like I said, I got married. And I thought, you know, maybe I should do something serious with my life. And anyway, I went to Montana, and I went to Wyoming, and I went to Idaho, and looking for a serious life. And I thought, who are you kidding? You're looking for another Aspen. So I went back to Aspen, and I said...
Now, were you married then?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys...
Yeah. She didn't go with me. I went. She was back east, I think. Eastern girl.
And you were searching for that next...
Yeah, I thought, well, I could be a banker, I could be a marketing man, I could... And I said, you know, it's Aspen. Good or bad, I'm committed.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the end of the hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And then it did change my life. My aunt and uncle owned the solid waste business in Aspen.
Mm-hmm.
And my aunt called me. She said, you know, we need some help. And we don't want any outsiders knowing our business.
Mm-hmm.
But you know business. Would you like to come to work for us? And it took me about 2 seconds. I said, hell yeah. And I'd worked for them previously, you know, in college vacations, and so I kind of knew the ropes anyway, and I did. So I went to work for them, and the next 25 years I was a garbage man.
So you were physically there, doing the books, doing like everything, huh?
Did the whole 9 yards, yeah.
Yeah,
and then...
Well, that's a good business.
Well, you know, the old joke, it's always picking up. Or it's like, oh, it smells around here. Yeah, it smells like money. And you know, that was a good gig because, and then my aunt died, and so my uncle wanted out, so we sold the business then to BFI, which people used to know around here was big. And I worked for them for a while, but, you know, it was fun. I worked for them about 10 years, but suddenly there was a change in company atmosphere. It was just not fun. And so I quit and went in with some other people in a trash company. And then I worked for them, I don't know, a couple of years or whatever. Anyway, they sold out. And I thought, you know, this is the most mismanaged company I've ever seen. And I told the guy, I said, look, you know, I can straighten this out for you, but you're going to have to give me more money and you're going to have to give me some autonomy. And he said, no, you just keep doing what you're doing. I said, I will. I went home and I made arrangements to get a truck. And the next day I went in and quit. And that was it.
And life moved on to what?
Well, I've been a ski bum ever since. No, take it back. I started another company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
That was called Trash World. And that one, you know, I kept it small, and I just did business that was profitable. Instead of running all over hell, I kept it all in the valley. I had like 2 or 3 people working for me. It was great.
But what distinguished Trash World from everywhere else? Did you specific trash you picked up, or
yeah, just trash, the world of the valley. But I knew all the people in the valley. I mean, because I've been in the business forever. So I just walk in and I'd say, "Hey, I got a new thing going," and they'd go, "Well, sign me up." I mean, within the first year, I bought 3 trucks. And the third truck, the guy said, "We're not selling you a truck. Nobody grows that fast." And I said, "Well, you're looking at one." And anyway, employees drove me crazy. And like I said, I only had 2 or 3, but when one of them comes up with a DUI, one of them got arrested for some nonsense, and I thought, you know what? I don't like this. So I sold that company. And then I was a ski bum.